I think that there really needs to be a study done on people who feel entitled and don't want to pay their bills. Hi, I'm Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I have noticed that, since a very young age, that people who don't necessarily have means or they feel some sense of entitlement around their lack thereof of means will totally act out and lash out in the most ridiculous of ways that just really embarrasses them, to be honest. So, for example, many lifetimes ago, way back when in an alternate universe, I worked as a girl at a grocery store. I worked as a check cashier. And there was this man, and he used his credit card and it declined. And, I'm like, oh, sorry, it declined, and blah, 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 blah. Do you have another form of payment? Just your basic, like, whatever in retail. Do you have another form of payment? Sorry, and he's like holding up the line, and he's, making a fuss and telling me that it's me, it's my machine, it's this and that. And I'm like, what can you do? And so, the manager comes over, and he's like telling the manager that I am racist and I am this and that and the other, and that I have personal problems because the card is declined. So he's really sort of creating this scene, essentially. And so my manager's like looking at me and, this and that and the other. Of course, it still doesn't go through when he kind of has to huff and puff off. But my manager pulls me to the back and he wants to have this conversation with me about racism and this and that. Now, one of the things I didn't tell you was the guy that accused me of being racist was a black man. And I'm like, I'm looking at my manager and he's wanting to have a talk with me about racism. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm not even having this discussion with you, but we're like, and back then the policy in retail was the customer was always right. So they had that policy. I don't know that chains really still follow that anymore. So regardless of whatever the incident was, because we came from that policy, you always had to get a talking to or disciplinary action because someone complained, regardless of whether or not it was your fault. And that was a meeting that I in particular walked out of. And I've had that happen, just like where people just sort of, they have like this explosive anger on someone, and you see it all the time, I'm sure, where they don't have the means to pay for something, and instead of saying that, or instead of like sticking to what they can afford or doing the things that they can do within their financial means, they want to lash out, make everyone responsible, and really try to tear you down and make you feel less than. And even now, even in the dating world, that's becoming a thing where people are being torn down or attacked and things like that. It's just very interesting, and I really think that sense of entitlement and that destructive behavior around that sense of entitlement really needs to be studied.